Good afternoon. I'm Leen Verkaamst, and I would like to welcome all of you in the name of the EBCP board to the 20th anniversary edition of the ECoPEaT meeting. This will be a meeting, an edition we will not likely ever forget, and hopefully we will be able to meet again in live next year. This Corona edition, it consists of two parts. The first part is the anniversary edition, which will take part live. That means that you will have a live presentation of our presenters. And after the live anniversary session, we will go to the scientific session, which will take place on the EACT platform in room 115. I have two panelists here this afternoon who will support me throughout the sessions, and that will be Luc Puis and Carol Hamilton, and I will give the word to them and they can start introducing the speakers.
So thank you, Leen. First of all, I'd like to say welcome everybody. It really is an honor to be here, and especially an honor to introduce Professor Philip de Sommer, who's going to be our first speaker. He's a chief perfusionist at the University of Ghent in Belgium and has contributed greatly to the perfusion field in many ways, leading to over 70 publications. He serves in scientific committees and academic journals. The list would be so long, we'd have no time to go into all this. But a great highlight is at our last board meeting this morning, he was voted in as a new chairman of the EBCP. So congratulations, Philip. And so it gives me great pleasure, a good friend, good colleague, who will highlight the past and how it started. There you go, Philip.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Carol for the very kind introduction. But I would start to congratulate everyone, because I think this is a celebration session. And we have to celebrate all of us, because it was thanks to every member of the board that we could achieve this meeting. I was asked to talk about the past, so showing that I'm probably getting a very old man, that they choose me to discuss the past. But there was a time when in the west of Europe, cardiac surgery was introduced from the States, and very rapidly it evolved in many countries all over Europe and became more or less an experimental procedure. And that meant that at that time, of course, initially a lot of the perfusionists were medical doctors. But as there was a further expansion of the profession, there was a need for more people. And so in many countries, societies were set up. Societies who were there to introduce knowledge amongst the different centers, to collaborate among centers in order to achieve more skilled and knowledgeable perfusionists. But there was the bad, the good, and the ugly. And when we looked at the landscape end of the 1980s, then we saw that the good part was that those societies were flourishing. A lot of them were actually working very nicely. They were unifying perfusionists nationwide, and they were able to introduce new skills in this group of people. But the bad thing was that in none of the countries there was a recognition as a profession, meaning that no one actually was working as an official perfusionist. They were all working in the gray zone or under the suspicion of a surgeon or an anesthesiologist. And the ugly part was that the training actually happened on the spot. There were no official schools where you could learn how to become a perfusionist. And of course, as there was a further expansion, certainly starting from the beginning of the 90s, there was a big concern with surgeons that there would not be enough skill amongst all those new people entering the perfusion field, but also among perfusionists who wanted to have high standards. And two people who were the basis of the EBCP should be certainly mentioned today. One of them was Mark Bainbridge, a British surgeon. The other one was Reginald Hobbs. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a photograph of him. He was a perfusionist in England, and he was one of the fathers of the European Board of Cardiovascular Perfusion. So what were the initial goals? Because the goals, and even today, were set very high. They wanted to have a quality of standards, both in education and training, all over the countries that would participate inside the board. They also want to have training programs because there were no training programs, and they wanted those to be accredited so that the qualifications would be recognized all over Europe. And of course, if you want to do that, they also wanted to train the trainers. I think these were pretty high goals to start with. But on top of that, they also want to have a certification program for perfusionists. So it would be possible for an individual perfusionist to say, I have a certain skill, and I can prove you that I recertify this skill every 3 years or every 4 years. It was in the beginning not very clear, so that everyone would know we have someone who is up to date as a perfusionist. And of course, they wanted to have this issued in a certificate so that it would be possible for people to travel all over Europe, and that a Norwegian perfusionist could work in Italy and vice versa. And those people would know that the skill of that perfusionist was equal to what they were used to. And finally, not unimportant, they wanted to liaise with the European Commission in order to have a legalization of the profession, if possible. Of course, these were very high standards, but there were also a lot of problems. And one of the main problems, especially in the beginning, was communication, because we had to talk with French, Spanish, Italian, Swedish perfusionists all over Europe. And of course, the founders of the EBCP were English speaking. And so you could imagine that in the beginning, communication was certainly not so evident. But luckily, those people had a vision, and they understood that we had to collaborate. Only by collaboration and by bringing ideas together, you can achieve something special. And what they did was they brought immediately a connection with the European Association of Cardiothoracic Surgery. Those people also with Association of Cardiothoracic Anesthesiology. And even today, we have a very strong connection with both of them. And I think this is a very big achievement of the board. But we wouldn't be where we are today without being standing on the shoulders of giants, giants who actually started the board, but also giants who supported the board over the years. And then we certainly have to mention the chairs and the general secretaries over the years. It started with Mark Brainbridge and Reginald Hobbs. Today, we had Alexander Waba and Gerdy de Beukelare, but every name on here was important in the development of the board. And I would be very impolite if I wouldn't mention that, of course, the board can only work through who has been the General Secretary for many years, and Kirk Graves sitting here, if you have a strong group around them. And I can't stress enough, it's every member of the board that made the board where they are. And you can see they are looking straight forward to achieve things. But they were also looking upwards, as you can see in the next slide, because they wanted to improve the board on a continuous basis. And I can only thank the enthusiasm and the voluntarily of all these members over the years. So what was achieved? Well, a lot was achieved. The first big achievement was the fact that we had written examinations. So we started to have something on which you could say, wow, now we can say people have the same standards. And a second big step was in 1999, where we had the first recertification of perfusionists and the first accreditation of a perfusion school. And from then on, as you can see, there was a status quo. There was every year an examination. We had more and more site visits and recertifications, not only of perfusionists or individual perfusionists, but also re-accreditation of schools. And the recertification is extremely important. It's important not only for the individual perfusionist, but also nationwide, because you can show to your government that at least someone who calls himself a perfusionist actually has a certain skill and has to job trying to a very nice article from Merkel, where he was actually showing the importance of education and training in Europe. Because do not forget, we started by on-the-job training in the 80s, which we probably would not accept anymore nowadays. And the fact that we could do this was because of the site visits. And I really have to congratulate everyone in the accreditation committee over the years, because they did a great job. They went to those centers, they discussed with the director, they actually looked to the environment in which the students were trained. They went into the operating theater looking whether the facility was offering everything what was needed to obtain those skills. And finally, they discussed it afterwards with all people involved. That doesn't mean that sometimes the language and the communication remained an issue. As you can see here, we had a happy oxygen, but the loose gas that was not completely clear to many of the site visitors. We can say we have several and many have to follow. So I think also there, the board has proven to be of a certain value for the whole community. Because of that, they also now are focusing on a statement of the qualification of cardiovascular perfusionists. And this was published in a surgical journal to make people aware that if you want to have good cardiac surgery, you depend on the strength of every member of the team. And that means also on very good qualification for cardiovascular perfusionists. And this was further supported by the introduction in 2001 of the first educational meeting of the board, which was then organized in Lisbon. And last year, we already had the 19th European conference, which was again in Lisbon. And today we have our celebration meeting, which would then be the 20th one of the ECoPEaT. So I think also there we have to be very grateful to the people who put a lot of effort in organizing all these meetings. Now we are getting to the next phase, which we haven't achieved yet, the recognition European-wide of the task and the responsibility, but also of the profession of a perfusionist. And Adrian Bauer, together with the Cardiotechniker in Germany, they have done something great. They tried to put a paper, a very important paper, which he will address later on in this session, where there is a clear outline of what is qualification, knowledge, tasks, and responsibilities of a clinical perfusionist, in the first place, of course, in his own country, but probably we can use that all over Europe. And finally, the latest achievement of the board was the fact that we have realized, in close collaboration with the EACTA and the EACTS, the first guidelines for cardiopulmonary bypass in adult cardiac surgery. And Luc, who is sitting here as a moderator, has a great job in that. He has been working very hard together with all the others involved in order to get this ready in time and a perfusion community. So the past was great. I think we achieved a lot, but magic is coming. And I'm really looking forward to what the near future will bring us. But what is for sure, we have to thank everyone, not only the board members, but every member of our board, also the individual perfusionists, because it's thanks to you and thanks to the enthusiasm of all the people involved that we could achieve where we stand today. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Philip, for this nice presentation and overview of the achievements of the EBCP over the past 20 years. If you have questions, you can always ask them in the Q&A part of your Zoom meeting. go over to the next speaker, who is Philip de Vos. He is from Twizit. He's one of the co-founders of Twizit, a company in Belgium. Unfortunately, he could not make it personally, but he forwarded us a video explaining the Twizit platform, which is something that the EBCP now uses to handle all administrative and operational procedures. So the video takes about 16 minutes, I've been told, and let's take a look at it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm Philip, and I'll be hosting today's webinar. As asked by the EBCP board, this webinar will focus mainly on the key features of Twizit for the end user. The webinar will take about 15 minutes and will cover the following topics. We'll first discuss a little bit about what Twizit is exactly and what it does for the EBCP. Next, we'll show you how you can connect to Twizit, what the main functionalities are, and afterwards we've got a short time period to organize a little Q&A. First of all, let's talk about what Twizit is exactly. In one sentence, Twizit is the online management system for all administration, communication, and finances of the EBCP. This means that actually the central platform for the EBCP and all your member administration, etc., are organized by this platform. Secondly, it's nice to notice that it's an open platform that allows all members to connect, and that's exactly what we are showing today. So you will see in the next steps how you can connect and what you can do with the platform. First of all, it's important to notice that Twizit is not only available as an app in the App Store, but it's also available through our browser. So if you want to use your laptop, you can simply search to app.twizit.com, and I will show you next how you can log in. Otherwise, you can surf to get.twizit.com to download the app, or simply surf to the App and Play Store to download our app on your mobile devices. Before I show you how you can connect to Twizit, it's maybe important to know who can connect to Twizit. And in short, that's everybody who is connected to the EBCP. That means that everybody listening today or watching this webinar has a login to Twizit and has also the possibility to enter or to request a login or a password. How you can do this? Well, there are two ways to do this. First of all, you can request a new login by surfing to our website. Secondly, we also have the possibility that the EBCP already has sent you a login. This can be after you've entered a subscription for the EBCP, or just email that has been sent by the EBCP itself. Now, the way it works is exactly the same. And to show you, I will quickly surf to our platform. Here we go. So if we go to app.twizit.com, we come on this page, which is a login page. And here you can specify that you would like to request a new username or password. You can simply click on that link. The name of the organization is the EBCP. So we enter that and we select our user. And afterwards, we can simply enter our email address or name and first name and search for a person. I see that we find the person I'm looking for, so I can simply click on the link, and this means that Twizit will send you an email to your email address. You will receive the email in your inbox. If you don't receive it, please check if it's not in your spam filter, and the email looks like this. That means that it has an easy connect to Twizit button where you can click on, and that brings us into the Twizit platform where we can enter our username and password. If you don't feel like entering a username and prefer that you follow the steps I just showed you each time, you do not have to enter a username or password. But if you simply like to connect next time, we can enter 1 second. I can enter a username, for example, and afterwards I can enter my password as well. Next, we click on Save and Continue, and we have entered the TWISIT platform. Now, as I told you before, we have got multiple possibilities to connect to TWISIT. We can do it through the browser or through the app. Because I guess that most of you will be using TWISIT on their mobile phones. The next demo I will also organize in a mobile environment like this, so you will exactly see the same thing as what I'm showing today. If I go back to my presentation, I'll show you which topics we'll cover today. First of all, we'll talk about the new section, activities, chat, and my groups. Afterwards, we'll also see how we can organize subscription, check our invoices, and change some personal details and preferences. If we enter the application, we enter the news section, which can be found here under the house icon on the bottom left. And the news section forms an overview of all the news items that have been entered by the EBCP. In short, it's something like a short news overview where the most important news of the organization is shown. We can simply click on an item to see the full text, and if we want, we can also follow the call to action buttons that are shown here, for example, to subscribe to certain events, or we can also leave a comment if necessary. That's a very basic feature, but it allows the EBCP to communicate with all members and allows them also to show you an overview of what's important at a given moment. The second functionality is the activity overview. The activity overview can be found here at the bottom and allows you to show every event or activity that's meant for you. So in this case, I can see in the past that a certain amount of events have been organized, and I also see that in the coming days, the 20th ECoPEaT event will be organized, and also a test event is taking place. If we click on a certain event, we can also see the details about it. We can see where it's located. We can see at what time it's been organized, and we can also use the live feed to communicate with other people and send some updates about a certain event. Last but not least, sometimes we can organize an event with a subscription. So if we needed to subscribe to this event, we can click on the subscribe button and organize, we can click on the subscribe button and enter a subscription form. You can see this, for example, with the test event that I've organized here. I got the subscription button, and here I can leave my details behind to subscribe to this event. So as an end user, from time to time, please make sure that you visit the activity feed so you're always up to date. Now, the third functionality is actually the built-in chat application. This allows you as an end user to communicate with everybody within the EBCP. This can be done by easily creating conversations. That's being done by clicking on the green plus icon at the bottom right. And here I can search whoever I feel like. So I can search for a certain person, say I want to start a conversation with this person, and simply start chatting with him. These messages will be sent to the application of the user you're sending it to, but also to their inbox. So this will make sure that everybody receives this email or receives this message and can also reply to it. This can not only be done with individual conversations, you can also start conversations with a whole group or with multiple people to which you want to communicate. So for the rest, it's just an easy chat functionality, but the positive thing about it is that you can send it to everybody within your country or within your group. If we click on the icon here at the bottom right, we'll see that a lot of other functionalities become available as well. One important functionality might be the group functionality. In this group overview, we can see to which groups I'm subscribed. So at the moment, I'm a member of the EU. Probably you'll be seeing your own country, and we can see whoever is also a member of our country at that moment. These groups will be used by the national delegates to communicate with their group, and they as well will be using our chat functionality in order to communicate with you. If you want to know who else is joining your country with the EBCP, just click on the group and check who's in your in your country as well. The next functionality is the subscription and purchases functionality. This functionality shows you all subscription forms that are available at a certain moment. You can, for example, enter a EBCP examination, or you can enter a form for the request for a webinar, etc. These are all things made available by the EBCP. These forms will also be available on the website of the EBCP mostly, and it's important to know that if you enter a form using the application, that example, we will be able to automatically detect your details, and you do not need to fill in the form yourself again. So that's how this module works. Feel free to see what's in the list of subscription forms and subscribe to the activities or events that interest you. Another functionality is an overview of all invoices of your person. In this case, you will see the invoices that are related to you. That means if you subscribe to the EBCP, you will receive an invoice. This can be that you receive an invoice individually, or it can also be that your national organization is taking care of the invoice. In that case, you won't see an invoice. But just make sure that at this moment you can or at this point and in this functionality, you can always find all outstanding invoices for you. And if you got a feeling that you missed something, you can always come back to this place and download the invoice for you. Then we've got a few other functionalities. We've got the possibility to organize lists. If you have to organize something with a few people within the EBCP, you can always start a new, sometimes we organize a doodle or a poll in order to receive some information about them. If somebody organizes a poll or a doodle with you, you can find it back here in the overview of My Lists. Once you receive it, there will be some information about it, how you can fill it in, and how you can give your or how you can pass your data to the organizer. Last, we also got the module Media. This module shows you how you can exactly, or shows you an overview of all documents that have been uploaded for you. You can add documents yourself. This can be all kinds of documents. This can be files that you need to pass to your national delegate, etc. But it can also be nice images or pictures that you've been taken on the last event and that you want to share with the EBCP community. Just fill out the form here, upload your information, and it will be shared with the correct people within the EBCP. Last but not least, we've got some possibilities to edit your personal details. Your personal details are very important to the EBCP, of course, because they need these details to communicate with you. And as you can see here, we are gathering a lot of information about you. You can enter your email, your phone number, your basic details like name, first name, and date of birth, etc. And you can change these details yourself simply by clicking the Change Information button. Then we can change whatever we need to change, and we can, for example, enter a phone number if we want. Yeah. At the bottom, we'll also see some extra information about the EBCP settings. These are details that have been entered by the EBCP and that you can always find back here. And some information, like, for example, recertification documents, etc., can also be uploaded here at the bottom of your profile. If you want to know how your membership is going and how long you are still member of the organization, you can simply go to memberships, and there you'll find an overview of the availability of your membership to the EBCP. These are the most important functionalities. Notice that it might also be nice to upload a profile picture for your profile so that everybody can see who exactly it is they're talking to. Last but not least, we've got the personal preferences, and this is something that you can manage only yourself. As I told you before, you can enter multiple email addresses for your contact or for your profile, but we are also using not only these email addresses to contact you, or we are also using the app to communicate with you. And in this overview, you can check how you wish to receive all kinds of notifications. So for example, if somebody is sending you a new message, I'm currently using a user that has 2 email addresses, and we can simply check that I want to receive it only on Gerdi's email address, for example, and only and not on the app, for example. So these are preferences that you can set up yourself, and this will allow you to enter the information or receive the information the way you want to. So I think this is the most important features for you as an end user. If you have any questions about how to use the functionality of Twizit, please don't hesitate to contact the EBCP. We are also available to reply to all your questions and make sure that everybody can use the platform as we would like to see it. I now leave some time for Gerdi, who will be available for all Q&As. And as I told you, I wish you a lot of success with using Twizit, and hope to see you soon. Thank you very much. See you. Bye.
Thank you for that nice overview of the Twizit app. It's really helped a lot. It's very easy to put all your contents, put the EBCP in there. So it's a great development. So we go on to our next speaker. Dr. Adrian Bauer is the Chief of Perfusion at the Heart Center Coswig in Germany. He is president of the German Society of Cardiovascular Engineering. And one of his main research areas, his passion, is in minimal invasive extracorporeal technology, looking at MEX system. He's actually a co-founder in 2014 of the MEX group, which is the Minimal Invasive Extracorporeal Technology International Society, doing great work there. And Adrian has been an ABCP board member for over 10 years. The time sure does fly by. So along with being a member of the accreditation subcommittee now, he is also being voted in today, as of today, the new vice chairman of the EBCP board. So congratulations to you, Adrian, for this position. It's going to be a benefit for us. And so it gives me great pleasure to introduce Adrian Bauer, who will present the future. And it's a paper that has a major impact on the perfusion regulation in Germany. And it's on the German consensus paper on the profession of perfusion. So Adrian, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Carol, for your introduction, and thank you all for having me here and to present what we have done as a German way to get to go on the way to get a recognition of the profession in Germany. And first of all, it's the same what Philip said before. It's based on the fundamental work of all of the people in the European board that they establish a structure in Europe. And now we have the feeling we can go the next steps together with all the countries and with all the involved parties in Europe, and to probably way into the future to have a recognition and a profession of perfusion could be that way. And we start with, or not we start, or our actual step is that consensus paper what I present now. If you start with that issue and someone asks you, can you recognize my profession, or you are willing to recognize a profession, then probably you look at Wikipedia, as I often do it, and then you find that explanation at Wikipedia, and they say to have a profession, you have to have a training school or a university, or both of that. And you have to have a profession field and an association, like a society, like the German society is, or also the European board is. And then you can go the next steps and probably get a state license or a law or like this. And how is it in Germany? what's typical Germany? What's the special problem or the special things in Germany? So we have three general problems in Germany. First of all, it's a federal state. That means we have 16 ministries of health, 16 ministries for education. And that means there is not one place where you can go, overhand an application, and then you get a process. So it's much more difficult. And the next thing is that we have an inhomogeneous group of perfusionists in Germany. That means we have state-certified nurses, we have state-certified medical technicians, and we have university graduate engineers. And now the question was 10 years ago, can we find a common core of a profession? And we decided in 2010 as society to have the curricula, to have the European board certificate as the common education, the common syllabus for our recognition process, because it was already there, and it was obviously a good choice to take that. So the third thing is the lobbying activities, and that's the same problem, I'm sure, in all countries, US, in Spain, wherever. We are just, for example, in Germany, 600 perfusionists, and just imagine we have more than 1 million nurses. That's a powerful group, nurses. They can decide elections in the country. We not. So that's the problem. If you go to a politician and ask for help to recognize your profession, then you don't have any lobby. So therefore, we decide in 2010 not to go to ask for a national law or directive or regulation. We are looking for a sub-law regulation. And the strategy was, first of all, to harmonize the study programs and training courses based on the European board certificate, and also going forward with the academization of the profession. And then we want to describe the profession field and bring the involved parties behind us, even the physicians, the cardiologists, the surgeons, and so on, the anesthetists, behind us in writing a consensus paper. And the last step would be then to go to the official bodies in the country, in Germany. In our case, is that the Joint Federal Committee for Health, and asking for licensing our profession. So education, academization of the profession, harmonization of the profession, then writing the consensus paper, and at last step, then a complete restriction access to the profession. So what's the history? We start with that process in 2009. 10, we have the decision to use the European certificate. Then we recognize that we have a couple of peoples without an ECCP in Germany. We give them the chance to get it with an upgrade course, a 600-hour course to get that certificate afterwards, without going through the whole process, without going to the whole university courses and so on. We changed the title from cardiovascular technician to clinical perfusionist. And then in 2013, we start with the consensus paper. And the idea was to have a clearly distinction between what is a perfusionist, what is perfusion, and what is nursing, and what is what are the physicians are doing, and the technicians. So yeah, the consensus started in 2013. The first version was big, with 19,000 words, and then we see it's impossible to have a consensus with such a big paper. We reduce it, we divide it in different publications like that. Publication down below here, it's describing the profession field more or less, and have only the important things left in the really consensus paper. Then it takes us another 3 years or 4 years almost to have a paper that could be signed by the other involved societies. In 2017, the cardiologists attend and also the anesthetists. And this decision was very important, I guess, because then the paper is more broad than before. But then the discussion goes again. You read through the whole paper and you have to change words and formulations and so on. And after 6 years then in 2019, last year in September, we have a consensus with all that involved societies. We have it signed by the pediatric cardiologists, by the anesthetists, by the cardiologists, also by the intensivists. And so now we can say, okay, there is a big consensus or broad consensus in Germany. It's published then in our official journal in 2020 in January in the Interactive, and so the goal was achieved that this consensus is published. So the consensus paper itself comes from the background, a little bit history, what is training and certificates in US and in Europe, and then we go to the knowledge, tasks, and the responsibilities of a clinical perfusionist in Germany. What is important to know is that clinical perfusionist is a medical profession. Before it was not clear that we are a medical profession. But, and that's important, it's a medical profession, but also with engineering areas. That's a very important thing, because it's not only the medicine, it's also knowledge behind the medical field, and therefore we have a clear distinction between a perfusionist and, for example, a physician or a nurse. So it's written also down there in that paper that the physician cannot take over the part of a clinical perfusionist. So to drive the heart lung, to operate the heart lung machine, the cardiopulmonary bypass, is the task of the perfusionists in Germany. So that means it's based on technical and engineering knowledge with special medical knowledge. And then you have the order from the physician that, of course, no patient come into a clinic and say, oh, I want to have a cardiopulmonary bypass. The patients come to get a valve surgery or a CABG surgery, whatever. So the decision to use the therapy comes from the physician, of course. And then they give you the order. But then it's in your hand, the responsibility on driving the heart lung machine, the cardiopulmonary bypass, is in the hand of the perfusionist. But how can that work? What you need is guidelines, and what you need is standard operating procedures. And that procedures give you a corridor of action. For example, if the blood pressure is too low, then give 5 microgram of norepinephrine, and so on, you know. And then that's it. It's the so-called general delegation. It's not the same like in nurse. It's just delegation. We have a general delegation based on our SOPs. And that comes together with what the European board, together with the EACTA and the ESCTS, has published last year. Big achievement. I can also absolutely appreciate that, because that's what we need. That's also written, it's recommended that each of the perfusion departments have written standard operating procedures for the contact of the cardiopulmonary bypass. And that gives you the action of corridor to work as perfusionist in your clinic on your own responsibility. So you are work as perfusionist on medical order, independently operating the cardiopulmonary bypass or the ECC, the extracorporeal circulation. So then we have also clear recommendation for the education. And education is based on the syllabus. I mentioned it before, this is the ECCP. And we also recommend in that paper to have a Bachelor of Science. It's the academic degree at a level 6 at a qualification framework in Germany. So here again, it's recommend also in the guidelines for cardiopulmonary bypass to have a certificate. In our case in Germany, is it the ECCP. So the whole paper described the qualifications, the tasks, and the responsibilities of the clinical perfusionist, and the perfusionist is part of the cardiac team of the cardiac surgical treatments of patients and the thoracic and vascular and patients with thoracic and vascular diseases. And the authors say this specialist should have the qualification correspondent to the criteria described in that paper, in our case, the ECCP. So, yeah, after a lot of years, 6 years, and burning head, we achieved that, that goal. And I want to thank you, all the involved people. Christoph Bank, he was the president who started that project. I take it over then in my presidency, and it was an interesting work, a lot of travel, a lot of negotiations. I also want to thank the German cardiac surgeons. They support us a lot. Dr. Beckmann, very good job. And also the universities, of course, because without the education, without the schools, you have no chance to reach that. Harmonization, academization of the study programs and the training courses, that's very important. Now, we have a clear structure in Germany. That means every of our colleagues can read, can see it. That's a brochure what we will publish soon. And then everyone can see how can I how can I become a perfusionist in Germany. So, for example, here in the Deutsche Ärztezentrum Berlin, the Academy for Perfusion with the Bachelor in Cardiovascular Perfusion, or here at Furtwangen University to have a Bachelor of Science or Master of Science, and then you can get the ECCP in Germany. You can see and find it also at our booth of the European board here. There's a poster also with the links to the schools and to the society for more information. Yeah. What we have done is we have harmonized based on the ECCP. We have published the paper. What now? We have to go the next step. We have to go to the authorities. And we are not sure which way we go. Probably we go direct over the parliament, or we're going over the Joint Federal Committee for Health. We are proof now the right way to go forward with the recognition in Germany. But one thing is clear. We have to do it together. There is a European level and there's a national level. We have to recommend our certificate in all the papers, in all the guidelines. A perfusionist must be certified, and we have to come into the directives. And that publications helps us, and that publications helps us also at the national level. And together we can reach that we probably in the future be everywhere in Germany part of the perfusion, that the perfusionist is part of the heart team. So that's a famous journal in Germany. It's called Focus, and the title here is A Healthy Strong Heart. And you see what you need for a healthy strong heart. You need a cardiologist, a cardiac surgeons, anesthesiologist, and of course, a perfusionist. So hopefully we will reach that in the future and in all the countries. If we have 30% with the same way, probably the ECCP, then we can have it for all the countries in Europe. So let's do it together. Thank you. Contact me if you have questions. And yeah, thank you for the talk, for the time.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you, Adrian. Thank you also for publishing this and working together to get this paper published, because it's really a landmark paper. I really appreciate it, and I love how everything comes together, the guidelines and this paper.
Absolutely.
So I hope that many societies will follow you, and then we can come to a harmonization in Europe with this.
Yeah, that's very important that we play we playing together. Otherwise, we will have no chance at that small group. So if we all stay together, and then we have a chance, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. I think we have time for some questions even, I think. Gerdy, I have a question for you. Somebody asked if the TWISIT platform was also available for non-members. If you could.
At this time, yeah, at this time, it's not available for non-EBCP members.
Leen, did you have a question?
Yes, I have a question for Adrian. First of all, thank you, Adrian. That was a great presentation, but more importantly, that was a great achievement. Congratulations. It's really something that a lot of countries could do the same and ask your advice maybe. A little question about the degree that you all try to achieve for your perfusionists. Is it because I see two levels? I see the bachelor degree and I see the master degree.
Yeah.
What do you currently have and what are you aiming at? And are you expecting all perfusionists to have a master degree? Because that's a huge extra education investment. It's an extra training, extra university program. Is this something that you, yeah?
Okay, yeah, I can answer you. It's nice to have a master degree. The reason why we have the master degree is that we have a lot of bachelors that come in contact with the perfusion field, and then they ask for to have a certificate. And it's very good for them to have also the possibility to go to a master program, then get the ECCP and the Master of Science. So that's a really good way for them. For us, it's not necessary to have a master degree at all, but to have the possibility to say to a bachelor, you have a bachelor in medical engineering, for example, and then you say, he asks you, how can I be a perfusionist? Then can you say, okay, do that master, and then you get the ECCP and your Masters of Science.
Yeah, thank you. I agree. That's the best way to get people on a good bachelor level, and then give the opportunity or create the opportunity for those interested in a more academic career to move on. And it's very good. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So it would be interesting what the next steps will be, also with the board in the direction to the EU commissions. Probably we will also find a way at the European level to attend the European Commission to help us to establish this profession. It's necessary, I think, to have a recognized profession in the future, but it's a long way. We have to do it on the national level and at the European level as well. So it's good to have also Philip on board yet. It's not far to Brussels from Ghent.
Okay, thank you very much. We go over to the second part of this celebration session, and that is the let's call it the virtual avatar. This wouldn't be possible without the help of our sponsors, meaning the industry. So you can stay in the EBCP auditorium auditorium, and there are people running around, well, not running around, but they are in the auditorium from the industry, and they can answer your questions if you have them. It's a kind of a mini exposition. And meanwhile, we will play a video, and they told me the sound would work. A video which is a composition of different videos that were made by the companies. So while you're watching the movie or listening to the movie, you can ask questions to the representatives who are in the room. And we would really like to emphasize that we are very appreciative and grateful.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you might physically be right now. My name is Alan Chen, and I'm the Group Manager for Therapy Development, Cardiopulmonary Solutions here at Getinge. Getinge is proud to support the European Association for Cardiothoracic Surgery and the European Board of Cardiovascular Perfusion. Thank you to all surgeons, perfusionists, nurses, and other clinicians. We continue to be amazed and humbled by your commitment to saving patients, especially during these extraordinary times. Getinge is committed to supporting you in any way we can, through training, both visual and in-person whenever permitted, through servicing our equipment, keeping it in optimal condition, through increasing supply output of our most essential products. Now, we're excited to bring the next generation in heart-lung machine innovation, the HL40. The development of this device would not have been possible without the input of numerous perfusionists across the globe. Over the past 10 months, we've been actively collecting post-marketing clinical data. Since CE approval, over 500 cases using HL40 have been completed at our dedicated partner sites in Leeuwarden in the Netherlands and Kruiswijk in Germany. The expanded launch of the HL40 will begin in selected European countries by the end of the year and expanding beyond in the first quarter of 2021 to meet the high level of interest and demand. This underlines Getinge's continued commitment to positive cardiac surgery outcomes and the perfusion community. I now present you with a short video highlighting some of the key benefits of the HL40. After the video, please visit Getinge's EACTS booth for more information. Thank you, and please enjoy the rest of the conference.
BCAPTA, the new, ready-to-go, inline blood gas monitoring system, integrated into the S5. BCAPTA is designed to easily and accurately monitor arterial and venous blood gas parameters, even in long and complex pediatric and adult cardiopulmonary bypass procedures. BCAPTA provides an inline continuous monitoring of the patient's blood parameters and allows the operator to quickly react to parameters changes. BCAPTA supports the implementation of the goal-directed perfusion GDP therapy in Connect that enables perfusionists to maintain accurate perfusion procedure records. Patient blood parameters can change rapidly during cardiopulmonary bypass procedures due to many dynamic conditions. Blood gas analyzers only reflect the patient's clinical condition at the exact moment the sample is drawn, meaning that, by the time the result is received, the blood gas parameters no longer reflect the patient's actual condition. Inline monitoring systems may improve patient outcome during cardiopulmonary bypass procedures. By continuously monitoring the patient's blood gas parameters, BCAPTA can support the perfusionist during the entire cardiopulmonary bypass procedure. Proven safe and reliable. BCAPTA is based on an accurate and reliable optical-based technology, improved, to guarantee the highest level of accuracy and reliability when measuring patient blood gas parameters, even in long and complex cardiopulmonary bypass procedures. Accurate and continuous measurements. BCAPTA allows accurate monitoring of PO2 and temperature in the arterial line, and saturation, HCT, HB and temperature, in the venous line. It does not provide calculated parameters, but only measured values to guarantee accurate monitoring. Pediatric and adult procedures with the same sensor. The BCAPTA arterial and venous sensors fit all disposable cuvette sizes, allowing the perfusionist to use the same sensor for both pediatric and adult procedures. They are easy to couple with the relevant disposable cuvettes, as they are identified by different color-coded labels. Accurate perfusion records. Throughout the entire procedure, the BCAPTA blood gas values are automatically transferred to Connect, LivaNova's data management system, enabling the perfusionist to maintain accurate perfusion procedure records. Support the implementation of goal-directed perfusion, GDP therapy in Connect. The BCAPTA arterial and venous parameters can be used to feed the GDP formulas in Connect, as they are continuously transferred to Connect during the procedure, through the S5 serial interface. Easy and intuitive user interface. The venous and arterial parameters monitored by BCAPTA are shown in the S5 system panel. The BCAPTA user interface is intuitive and easy to use, easy parameter configuration and menu navigation, clearly displayed parameters, and accessible system panel layout. S5 user experience. The BCAPTA display is integrated in the S5 heart-lung machine, allowing the perfusionist to do without additional external monitors and holders that may obstruct the perfusionist's view during the procedure. Have all patient and procedure parameters in the same location, reducing the levels of stress felt by the perfusionist during the procedure. Disposable solution tailored to customers' needs. The venous and arterial disposable cuvettes are available as sterile standalone disposables, or included in the perfusion tubing systems, both pre-connected and not. Ready to go. BCAPTA does not require any calibration procedure to set the device measurements, allowing the perfusionist to save time during device setup, especially in emergency cases. Easy parameters alignment with ABL measurement. ECoPEAT's innovative technology embeds a compensation algorithm to easily adjust the blood gas parameters according to those of the hospital laboratory blood gas analyzer ABL, to ensure trending accuracy during the entire procedure.
BiFlow is the only bidirectional arterial cannula on the market designed to reduce the risk of limb ischemia in an easy, safe, and reproducible way. Its patented design incorporates a unique elbow and downstream perfusion channel. The cannula is easy to insert and remove, and provides simultaneous systemic and distal perfusion to the lower limb. Limb ischemia is a well-known side effect of femoral artery cannulation. It can affect up to 11% of patients undergoing complex cardiac surgery procedures, and up to 30% of patients on extracorporeal life support, and can increase morbidity, mortality, and hospital stay. The body of a standard cannula can limit blood flow around it, cause arterial spasm, and downstream compression of the femoral artery. All this contributes to compromised blood flow to the patient's lower limb, increasing the risk of limb ischemia. The LevaNova BiFlow cannula is designed to reduce this risk in all procedures requiring femoral cannulation, such as long-term procedures, minimally invasive cardiac surgery, redo cardiac surgery, and other complex cardiac surgery procedures. It can be inserted percutaneously using a standard needle and guide wire technique or after a surgical cut-down. Once the BiFlow elbow is inserted into the artery, the cannula is withdrawn until resistance is felt. At this point, the elbow and the downstream perfusion channel are in the correct position. BiFlow's unique elbow and downstream perfusion channel are designed to provide continuous leg perfusion, adequately perfusing the limb, and thereby greatly improving the safety of femoral artery cannulation. For more information about BiFlow and its unique features, please visit our website.
For more than 30 years, the CDI monitoring system provides a valuable contribution to cardiovascular surgery. With the development of the optical reflectance and optical fluorescence technology, CDI can measure and calculate a broad range of parameters which have become essential in cardiopulmonary bypass monitoring. Some of these parameters are unique, like the measurement of pH, potassium and pCO2 directly in the patient's blood. CDI is well known in the perfusion community for its reliability and accuracy. In 2018, Terumo launched the latest version of CDI, the CDI Monitoring System 550. With CDI 550, Terumo brings DO2 monitoring to life.
To fly an airplane safely above a storm, it is essential to have real-time and continuous information about the plane's altitude. If that data is unavailable for even a short time, the plane can drop below a critical altitude into the storm with serious consequences. Just as airline pilots require flight-related information, perfusionists demand continuous key blood parameters to ensure patient safety during cardiopulmonary bypass surgery. Evidence from the latest research indicates that inadequate oxygen delivery may lead to acute kidney injury and even death. The Terumo CDI Blood Parameter Monitoring System 550 brings DO2 monitoring to life by providing the real-time information perfusionists need for goal-directed perfusion and to achieve the best possible patient outcomes. The DO2 value is among the 12 key blood parameters it delivers on a continuous basis. Maintaining adequate DO2 levels during cardiopulmonary bypass surgery is vital to all critical organs. The kidneys are particularly sensitive to the oxygen level in the blood. Without continuous monitoring, the perfusionist may be unaware of the danger. DO2 levels below 270 milliliters per minute per meter squared are linked to an increased incidence of AKI, resulting in increased morbidity and mortality. The Terumo CDI System 550 enables perfusionists to continuously monitor DO2 levels and make real-time adjustments to keep them from dropping below the critical value. There is overwhelming evidence that staying above the critical value optimizes patient safety and significantly reduces costs for the hospital. AKI may occur in up to 50% of cardiac surgery patients. Early mortality rate in patients with AKI can be up to 50% when renal replacement therapy is required. Mean total index hospitalization was $28,358 higher for patients with AKI versus those without. Dr. Marco Ranucci's research, along with other researchers, has been key in an extensive body of peer-reviewed evidence, stressing the importance of monitoring and maintaining adequate DO2 levels to avoid AKI. The Terumo CDI System 550 provides the vital information needed to keep DO2 levels above the critical value, avoid AKI, and achieve optimal patient outcomes. Just as the pilot's instrument panel keeps the airplane safely above the storm.
The European Association of Cardiothoracic Surgery and Anesthesiology and the European Board of Cardiovascular Perfusion have developed for the first time evidence-based guidelines for the practice of cardiopulmonary bypass, launched in October 2019. This committee has highlighted the importance of goal-directed hemodynamic therapy, which is an intraoperative patient strategy with the aim to improve oxygen delivery to the tissues. The perioperative optimization of the balance between DO2 and oxygen consumption VO2 is regarded as a cornerstone of the management of patients undergoing cardiac surgery. The goal-directed therapy is recommended to reduce postoperative complications and length of hospital stay. It is remarkable that the class of recommendation and the level of evidence are of the highest rating, class 1A. Only a few of the methods included in these guidelines are rated that high. The new CDI monitoring system 550 supports goal-directed therapy by providing continuous DO2 and VO2 data and 10 other essential blood parameters. CDI 550 meets today's requirements and will be further developed to adapt to future needs in cardiac surgery monitoring.
Welcome to everybody. My name is Mirko Begliato. I am an Italian intensivist and I come from a very old town in north of Italy. The name is Pavia, near Milan, and I'm here to share with you my experience with a new device for ECMO support. The name is ECMO Life. ECMO Life, it's a new device on the market that is characterized by a full levitation system and a compact device for ECMO support. Here, I would like to explain my experience, clinical experience, about the first use of this device on a patient. During the COVID period, I was on the field for ECMO patient, and my center, it was a hub center for ECMO COVID patient. And during this period, we treated a lot of patients, more or less 26, 27 patients. In one of them, I used the ECMO Life. This experience was really successful, and now I would like to go in details for you. This patient was a male about 50 years old that underwent to ECMO support for an RDS due to the COVID-19 disease. When this patient needed to change the ECMO circuits, we applied the new ECMO Life system, and the day after we observed a very low free hemoglobin, plasmatic free hemoglobin, and the dimer reduced to a normal level after increased due to the clothing that happened the day before. Our patient needed to go to the CT scan, and we tried to use the ECMO Life for this transport, and we were very satisfied because the versatility of the system was really impressive, because we could move the configuration from a bedside configuration with the oxygenator and the pump driver at the bottom of the trolley to a very compact system with the oxygenator and the pump driver directly connect to the chassis of the pump. One of the main features of the ECMO Life is the magnetic levitating system. This is totally new for me, because you can have a full magnetic levitating pump, but it's not portable, it's not compact, and this system is combined, merged these two features, a portable system and a full magnetic levitating pump. Moreover, I would like to underline the flexibility of the system, because if your patient needs a ventricular access device, you can use the ECMO Life for 14 days, because the system is validated for this use, and you don't need to have two different pumps, because the backup is internal. Internal the chassis, you have two different pumps that works independently, and you can support the cardiac function of your patient without need of another pump on the bedside of your patient. This is really important because it's compact and very flexible for a clinical use. Thanks to everybody, and I kindly invite all of you to try the new ECMO Life system, because I strongly believe that you can find a very high benefit for your patient that need an ECMO support. Ciao and goodbye to everybody.
Thank you to our industry partners for this movie. I'm very happy they got the opportunity to share us something, because these are also very difficult times for them, as it's very hard to interact with their customers these days. This movie, if you missed something or you want to look at it again, it's also on display at our booth on the EBCP platform in the exhibition hall. And if you're at the booth, you can also watch the posters of the educational programs of the perfusion schools in Europe. While you're here, it's still 30 minutes. I'm going to sign off soon because I need to be at the next room for the scientific sessions. So, but all of you just grab a virtual coffee and take the opportunity to talk to the industry, talk to your colleagues. And but don't forget, by 4 o'clock sharp, you should all transfer yourself, fly to room 115 in Hall A, because we need to start at 4 p.m. sharply. I cannot wait for everybody to enter the room. It's just scheduled sharply at 4 o'clock. And I'll see you all there and for the scientific session. Enjoy your walk around and have a good time.